Manzanar, a Japanese internment camp. In 1942, the United States government ordered over 110,000 men, women, and children to leave their homes and detained them in remote military-style camps. Two-thirds of them were born in America. Not one was convicted of espionage or sabotage. No single cause can explain exclusion of Japanese Americans as an entire ethnic group on the West Coast. After the December 7, 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States government swiftly moved to begin solving the Japanese problem on the West Coast of the United States. Many Californians feared their Japanese neighbors because of their potential anti-American activities. On February 19, 1942, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, which authorized the construction of what would later be called relocation centers. This order resulted in the forced relocation of over 120,000 Japanese Americans, two-thirds of which were native-born American citizens. The rest had been prevented from becoming citizens by federal law. Manzanar was the first of the 10 concentration camps to be established. Initially, it was a temporary reception center known as the Owens Valley Reception Center. The first Japanese American incarcerees to arrive at Manzanar were volunteers who helped build the camp. By mid-April, up to 1,000 Japanese Americans were arriving daily, and by July, the population of the camp neared 10,000. The camp is situated on 6,200 acres. When the Japanese first arrived, they found themselves lacking of privacy and comfort, and behind barbed wires, even though they were promised to be protected in this internment camp. They had to wait in lines to use the restroom, the laundry room, and for meals. Food at Manzanar was based on military requirements. Meals usually consisted of hot rice and vegetables, since meat was scarce due to war rationing. Most incarcerees were employed at Manzanar to keep the camp running. Unskilled workers earned $8 per month. Semi-skilled workers earned $12 per month. Skilled workers made $16 per month, and professionals earned $19 per month. In addition, all Japanese received $3.60 per month as a clothing allowance. They did the most with what they were given. Most of them turned to recreation to make Manzanar more livable. They participated in sports, including baseball, football, and basketball. They also personalized and beautified their barren surroundings by building elaborate gardens, which often included pools, waterfalls, and rock ornament. These can still be seen at Manzanar today. The women at Manzanar were proud of their accomplishments and continued to raise their children as good American citizens. However, always looming above them were the watchtowers and the soldiers with rifles pointed inward. However, for many, the last straw was when they were given a questionnaire of loyalty from the United States of America. Those who were American citizens were upset with the United States for even daring to ask them those questions, and those who had not yet received citizenship were afraid to say yes to Japan and lose citizenship in either country. Over 1,000 men said that they were willing to serve in the armed forces and soon found themselves in the 442nd Regimental Combat Team. They wanted to impress their military leaders with their go-for-broke valor. They also believed that the only way to change public opinion of Japanese people was to demonstrate that they were willing to die for their own country. Although they only began fighting in 1944, they were a self-sufficient force and fought with an uncommon distinction in Italy, southern France, and Germany. The 442nd is considered to be the most decorated infantry regiment in the history of the United States. As 1943 Secretary of War Henry L. Stimson said, "Loyalty is a voice that must be heard." The constitutionality of what happened in the internment camps has been greatly questioned. The Fifth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States states, "No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." 40 years later, the Commission on Wartime Relocation and Internment of Civilians concluded, Executive Order 9066 was not justified by military necessity. The broad historical causes that shaped these decisions were race prejudice, war hysteria, and a failure of political leadership. Today, a monument stands as a remembrance of the people who lived here, and as a promise that this will never happen again in the history of the United States.